We have more than half an hour delay, so that we can go to the important thing, which is lunch. That doesn't mean that what we're going to talk now is not important, but we have to have lunch, talk, and share corridors, which is what contributes the most. So that we can depart with the other speakers or attendees. So this panel is about smart tourism services. We've got two hotels leaders in their own scope. We've got an accessible watch and a new communication system. And we're going to start by NH Group, where we're going to have their commercial manager, Mr. Javier Pardo. He's brought a video to explain what is it that you do at NH from technology in order to interact through these systems with your customers. Javier, you've got the floor. I don't know if you want to show first the video. Can we? Well, I will introduce what we're doing before we see the video. At NH, since 2 years already, we're developing a transformation plan for the company covering many elements, amongst which we're redefining the business model, what NH offered and offers, which is the competitive model that we're going to defend in the future, and our relationship model with our customers. Within that transformation, that new strategy, IT innovations have a major role. It is important for first define what is it that we want to do and then implement the technology for that, and not technology driving these processes in our supply in the markets. From IT innovation, I'm going to focus what has to do with this forum, which is advances in the interlocution with people, communication. Our technological transformation plan has got a side, which is IT systems. We've migrated all the IT systems to have more efficient processes and more valid information. And from the communication stance, we've developed advances. We've got a web which is very robust with functionalities, with a architecture which is great, gives great visibility, showing products and services in an adequate and more flexible way. And from the communication stance, it allows us to do more things. And one of the great changes is the new website. And from the communication side, we've strongly committed for new audiovisual technology. I'm going to show you afterwards a video where we show you some technologies that are being implemented worldwide in the main destinations where we're present. And it is mainly technology which is smart meetings with telepresence technology. It's something that already existed. Teleconferences, conference calls is something that we have been already offering for 15, 20 years with different technology levels. And we now have got hardware powerful platforms to carry out this kind of communication, which are accompanied by programs, software that make these to be compatible with any device, Apple, Microsoft, or we've worked with an iPad or with a portable phone, whatever. They can always be connected up to 50 interlocutors in a telepresential way in meetings that we've got in rooms in our hotels, and we can have a conversation that can substitute effectively the face-to-face communication, presential one. This is done through cams that are intelligent, that detect sounds and then move automatically. We can share documents in the net or via mail as the meeting evolves. Those meetings or that technology applied to the telepresential meetings is being successful. It's something that is being used, such as at Eurobuilding, at Constanza, at the NH Colección Sevilla, in Valencia, in Bilbao. And apart from the conventional telepresence through screens and cams, there is another higher technological level, audiovisually speaking, which is the holograms. projections. It is a 3D, projecting in 3D art, goods, and people. That can be done recorded or online, live. Telepresence does not have that 3D component, but through the hologram, a speaker in the United States can address not only an audience such as you in a 3D hologram, almost presentially, but it allows interlocution with the audience. At this level, NH has committed bravely, because when you do technology innovations, you must take them at the maturity adequate level, because we've wanted to be the leaders developing a product that nobody else has in the world. And we've been the first ones, and we've had to wait for technology to be mature enough so that it's sufficient in terms of its implementation. I mean, I can say now I'm not a hologram, but if I were, the feeling would be of me being real. We could have even play to see if we can have these events done holographically, but from the cost standpoint, has to be accessible too. And it's the most evolved evolution of this technology, and you will see in the video the presentation of the Chappie film. It's a film on robots, and Hugh Jackman is the protagonist. And we've had a press release with the director of the film and Hugh Jackman, done with a hologram in the Euro building in Madrid whilst they were in Berlin. And they could ask questions to the holograms and answer in real time. And it was excellent. This first test, this case study was excellent, and we're doing other similar experiments. So this is what I wanted to present in this forum. Within all the things that we're doing, I think it is the one that it's more appropriate to this forum, because it provides more opportunities to accessibility, not having to travel thousands of kilometers to be able to address a group of people with reliability, with realism, and allowing interlocution in a natural way. It is something that this technology will allow to be done. So if you can now show the video. Thank you. So we now give the floor to the CEO of Global Device. He's worked in social innovation. And Juan Francisco Delgado, what is it that you do at Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be present at this panel. I come here to explain what is it that we have been doing for at least, or more or less, 2 years when we started working on a intelligent watch model, fully adapted, with a crowdfunding campaign that reached even the United States. And from then on, we designed a product which is the smartwatch that I bring here, so that you can see, though you can see it in the website of Global Link Device. And we think it's the only product in the world that right now has got much features that are much more adapted to disabled people more than any other products. This was a fruit of that crowdfunding campaign. This product was developed, designed in the United States. It's manufactured in China right now. We do have got a direct interlocution with the factory to do all the changes needed, because it's Young Technologies, the first Chinese manufacturer of intelligent watches, the first brand in China, and the 9th in the world ranking. And we have managed to create a community of developers around the watch, allowing that in Android 4.0, we can develop all the apps that will be adapted with infinite possibilities for traveling, doing tourism, etc., etc. This design done with the community of developers that have started working in 5 cities of the world, at Berkeley University, at the Barcelona University, at the universities of Córdoba and Granada here in Spain, and the Monterrey Technology Institute, allows us to have a very lively community, because researchers participate, and we've opened that community to designers, to users, to disabled people. And it's a community also open to physicians, doctors, caregivers, because we're optimizing it in hardware too. So our product is not just merely or a product that is a mere consumption product, but it's a product adapted to specific needs of specific groups of people. And in that sense, with regards to tourism, we will see it in a video that we have adapted, but it's quite a homemade video, but because we wanted to adapt it and make it accessible, this presentation. But for example, the boarding passes can be loaded into the watch, and it's a 3G watch. That means that you've got connectivity and works autonomously, and it substitutes the watch. It's not as the rest that you must have it logged to your cell phone, but it already works as a cell phone. How? If it's got a bone conduction. It's what they were talking about, these glasses. The Google glasses, it's this device that with the bone conduction, it transmits sounds. And it also has a camera of 5 megapixels, allowing to get images of great quality, picture, but also video. And it allows to share on real time. I've been transmitting at Periscope, the Twitter app, what was happening here, and more than 25 people were following this live. It also allows to record audios, music, everything that you've got in the cell phone, and furthermore, it has got geolocalization. It's very important to know that we can be geolocalized precisely. We've got NFC tag cards. We can do payments with the watch and being identified with the watch. And it opens great opportunities as for accessible itineraries regarding your routes. You can record them, and it recommends, the apps do recommendations depending on your tastes or needs. So we're developing many specific tools for this device, such as health devices or health apps to control your heart activity, your heart rhythm, your beat rate, and specific services that are in relation to what the imagination can generate for such a device, which is got quite an accessible, affordable price. It doesn't even reach 250 euros. Okay? Can we see the video? Yes, please.
Turismo accesible. Los smartwatches y los dispositivos inteligentes. Se abre una nueva era en el turismo. Los dispositivos.
The interpreters apologize, but they cannot hear the audio that is being displayed.
Los relojes inteligentes y las gafas de Google Glass, por ejemplo, sabemos que van a revolucionar. El turismo para todos pasa. Van a cambiar el acceso y las rutas. Sustituirán las tarjetas.
Smartwatches will change access, will substitute boarding passes. For example, our device and watch can be bought in our website. It's got a series of mechanisms that will change your software and your hardware, and any app will be able to be included. It's got a 5 megapixels camera, bone conduction for sound. It also has got a 5 megabytes card, and the watch will allow your trip to be guided from it. Your watch will be autonomous, or it will be able to be coordinated with a control center. Tripcase is a company that has already developed an app for Android to be able to visit any city of the world, to plan your trip in an integral, a whole comprehensive way. From your watch, you will be able to see, but also from your mobile. The company, Iberia, is already allowing smartwatch boarding passes. Vueling is working also to include it. Sabre has announced that the next step will be to develop traveling programs that will work through these devices, such as intelligent watches or the Google glasses. These will have a great impact in the purchases of consumers and in the experiences of the travelers. All that information we create of our experiences, whatever we can say, will be stored and shared with our families, our friends, to discover also that experience. It will have a local access. You will be able to serve the destinations with Wi-Fi services. And the wearables will expand and be developed highly. Around 24 billion euros will be generated for investing in this sector. More than 19 billion devices will be sold. So these kind of devices will be more intuitive. And as technology is adopted, the industry of tourism will use these technologies to serve travelers in an accessible way, in a more inclusive way. For us, it's the most inclusive device, this watch. It's what adapts the most to people. And these experiences require these devices. They will provide geolocalization services, so nobody will get lost. And also intelligent recommendation services will be provided to know which are the experiences we like the most, that adapt the most. So 250 million people will wearable as a guide for their trips in 2016 already. Well, thank you. Well, Fernando Figueiredo comes from Play the Net. Play the Net is a new way of communicating with the customer, taking communication directly to where the customer is. And we're not talking about cell phones, but screens where things are taking place. So, Jesus, well, we've got a first introduction and then a video. Thank you, Jesus, and everybody for being here. It is a pleasure to introduce Play the Net, a company that some friends started to develop. And we were looking for reaching in a different way to an objective, a target group where companies, brands, and people wanting to communicate. So we saw that there were billboards in the streets or in places in a static way, and we found different information models such as Moopies that had that information rotating with a video, and we wanted to do something different. We started working with a software 100% Spanishly developed, and we started to create a platform which is Play the Net today. It allows this platform to place content in a remote way in any device connected to our platform. And I mean connecting, sending information on real time to any port of the Spanish geography. We have deployed around 4,700 points in Spain. And from a website which is accessible, you will be able to create your content if you don't have it or upload it and convey a message to third parties wherever you want. That was done, but we wanted to take another step, which is, well, in the advertising world, the value is to identify which is the audience receiving that information. So we took that step and we deployed a Wi-Fi managed network we provide freely to our customers so they can connect. And to us, apart from that added value, it allows to identify which is the audience or the kind of audience that is surrounding our devices. What does that mean? That when somebody logs in a website, you just register once. And each time you enter a place which is Play the Net is like with a Wi-Fi of our home. It recognizes this, and you don't need to use your data of your smartphone or your tablet. It's like a Wi-Fi. It allows us to identify if it's the profile of the company, of the person, if it's a woman or a man, if he or she is connected, the age pyramid, and the tastes and the likings. And if it's someone who's not connected, it allows us to see what's the user profile that is nearby. With that, we give a value we provide value when identifying the target public that is passing before our screens. That allows us to adequate the content and the information to even the person who's there. If you want to launch a specific message to a specific audience, when you get that situation, that message can appear. But if you want, we can now see the video.
Somos Play the Net, la empresa que ha transformado.
We interpreters apologize, but the sound we're getting is not adequate. We cannot hear what the video is saying.
Nacional, la local, el frutero, el panadero, todos tienen derecho a tener su propia campaña, a conquistar la mente y el corazón de los consumidores sin tener que resignarse a los caros medios convencionales para ser visibles, para existir, para poder decirle al mundo, aquí estoy yo. Creemos que tienen derecho a anunciarse de forma sencilla, rápida.
They can announce at low cost, launching campaigns that are segmented, being efficient, and being able to measure. The consumer is not a consumer, but it's a person with emotions, with a powerful weapon, the smartphone. That's why we do believe in intelligent Wi-Fi, affinity of brands to people, The time has come to change norms and multiply benefits in all directions, being the media and the announcer. And your brand has to be where look at. That's why we're going to become the exterior leader advertising means of all the brands in the world. Are you in the revolution?
Lo que nos diferencia del
What it makes us different to the rest of channels you might find similar to these is that anyone can access our website and can hire a single advertising that costs 2 cents, €1, and you place it wherever you want. So we make accessible to any pocket, to any company, any person connecting and advertising the product. And that's what we're looking for, accessibility to everybody. We don't care if it's big or small, any kind of profile of user. We want to democratize a means that was unaffordable without huge budgets and offer capacity such as screen and a bar or a premise so that you can communicate to your public. Thank you. And then now the leader chain for accessibility, the Ilunion Hotels. We have got today the general manager, José Ángel Preciados. What is it that you do? Good morning or good afternoon. Thank you, Jesus. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity you provide personally to be the spokesperson of a group of people working greatly to get a niche in such a competitive sector, which is tourism in Spain. Thank you to the sponsors, to the collaborators, and especially to ENCE Foundation for having this initiative, which is not common in a sector which is so important for the economy of the country, but somewhat a little sensitive to these realities. I'll be honest. I'm going to speak from my heart about who we are. I'm not going to describe an average company because it's 22 hotels, fantastic staff, fantastic business model. But you can see that in the website of any other company with the same standard conditions or features. I'd like to stress before entering to talk about technology is those aspects that are really different in the business model that are directly linked to the value features provided by everything that surrounds us. Any business model of hotels or any industry has got accesses for this strategy. At Ilunion Hotels, the strategy lies in 5 axes that are key, that are common to all organizations: shareholders, staff, brand, what you offer to your customers, and how you reach your customers through tools such as technology. If we analyze these 5 axes, most of us have got the same features. We've all got shareholders, teams and staff in our sector that are very professionals. We all have got brands in very national, international, important brands, defendable and competitive products, and technology. I'd like to stress not only who we are and what we are and why we want to be different to the rest and why we want to exit the general strategy where we cannot compete. I congratulate my colleagues that have been presenting their issues, their 3 topics, because the 3 are interesting for us. We will make a proposal to our CEO about them because these are tools that allow us to be much more accessible depending on the situations. But I'd like to stress where is it that we want to make a difference and where does our strategy take us to. First of all, our values come from something which is different. It's a shareholder who's different. It's ONCE. We perfectly know what's the objective it has, which is try to have a better world. So all the values gathered in our shareholder permeate the DNA of the team, which is a second major axis. So all our organization has got the attributes and values of ONCE through people. How come? Through the maximum integration, maximum inclusion of disabled people, through the maximum implementation of equality plans and gender equality plans. So we start to see where our difference lies with regards to the rest of the industry, because the values that bring our difference. The third side, or third axis, is the brand, a new brand that you're starting to get to know that is going to give a lot to say, made up of more than 30,000 people, 35,000 people, out of which 35% are people with disabilities. So all the companies that are part of this group, Ilunion, not all Ilunion hotels, have these characteristics. And then the product that we offer is not only competitive and aesthetic, but is also adapted in each and every hotel we have got in our network. We are the single company, I think many of you will identify that, but we're the only company in Europe and very possibly elsewhere in the world in which all the hotels are prepared for universal accessibility. They are certified with the maximum universal accessibility in each and every element that might need help or assistance for customers. So our buildings have got the Sustainability Q label. And when talking about people, we're the only company so that any customer with any specific need can be serviced, because we've got all these kind of people involved in our staff. And then technology, which for me is fundamental. But we don't value technology as a tool or a gadget or a wire, but technology is valued for us as a solution, which not only allows you to compete, because if you don't have technology, you will be out of the market, but it allows you to contribute with value for the customers and for the people working in our hotels.
The emotional value included in technology is also key for hotels, and especially for Ilunion hotels, because it allows access to the work market. It allows for a life project to be in place for a person with a disability. Those people will be able to fulfill a position in any department in a hotel environment, and it also offers possibilities for customers that access those hotels. The emotional values that are part of shareholders, that are part of the people who work in our teams, that also include technologies that are facilitating, that offer possibilities, that allow for a sustainable product to happen, that is linked to an adequate brand, creates a message that is fully differential. So all of our developments, all of our technological developments and apps, because they're developed internally, so accessibility parameters are fulfilled at a minimum level at least, so that we can fulfill the possibilities, the requirements of a person that's in and out of our scope, but also because there's an internal body that validates that no development will leave outside from our experience in Ilunion Hotel any people, any person with any type of difficulty. So our business model is really different from any standard models, but it really includes values that are very gratifying for us and that are actually aligned with our social strategy that conforms the DNA of ONCE too. So this is why I wanted to share this experience with you, this reality, the reality of a company that will offer different resources and a different value proposition, mainly so that everybody has their needs fulfilled. This morning we were talking about the percentage of people who travel, and we were talking about the amount of people who have different organical needs and so on. And it's very sad that over 85% of those people have no means to travel or to enjoy tourism. So everybody needs to be trained and recognized to do this. And our home is your home. Thank you very much.
Bueno, Javier, ¿cómo ves el futuro de la tecnología en el ámbito hotelero?
Javier Powers talked about the future. What do you think about the future in the accommodation business, in the hotel business? How can we improve the experience for people that have functional needs? Is the hotel business going to be depersonalized if we implement this technology in a way? Well, in our group in particular, the technological investments that we are implementing from the broad range available focus on making communication between individuals more possible, and we never would try to replace it. The two examples that we set earlier illustrated, because it's quite a paradox. A hotel businessman wants to invest in technology. They can create communication between individuals, and in this way, what we want to do is to eliminate those needs to get transported, because we're allowing for telepresence so that we eliminate the need to displace oneself. And we really need to bear in mind that we shouldn't go against trends, but depersonalizations of this, the lack of personalization, should never take place. When we talk about, for instance, checking online, should make us wonder whether a reception would cease to be important, or if we're using machines to communicate, are we trying to replace personal communication? So those are transactional elements, and they can be automated. Most of us use check-in online, but of course, we should offer the same amount of service at the check-in desk or at the reception desk, so that we can add value for customers, so that they can ask questions, so that they can know more about the environment. If they have an emergency, they need to refer to those services. So I think technological evolutions in our industry and in many industries, I'm not talking now on behalf of NH, but on many others, I think those technologies are going to make transactional service aspects more fluid, and they will facilitate also communication between individuals to make it more effective, like it's the case of the smart meetings technology or holographic technology. From my point of view, if we can avoid logistical cost or burdensome transfers or useless transfer from one way to another, that'd be positive, because technology brings us closer to people and it makes interlocution more possible. The examples set by my colleagues also facilitate that all people will be able to use these services in a more accessible manner. So the bottom line is that technology will help make services more accessible for any type of audience, and it'll possibly foster that personal communication won't get depersonalized, but rather it will become easier to happen, so that we can talk to all people. Thank you. Juan Francisco, can you delve deeper into accessibility issues for the Stibble device in the future? Are you planning on coming up with further accessibility solutions? I think right now, in our experience, we are not yet capable to envisage what will happen. Quite recently, there was a global hackathon in 5 cities in the world, and the final one took place in the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona about 6 months ago. 5 teams competed. Well, in total, worldwide, it was 25 teams. It was a hackathon, which is a contest or a competition so that people can create applications for smartwatches. Some were done from the Design for All approach, and some were designed specially for people with disability. The winner team was a team from Berkeley University, and these guys were like 20 years old. Some people had never left the United States. It was very difficult at some points to create passports for them. And the application, as I said, that won this hackathon was an extraordinary application. What it did was to get your contact book, and merge it with your agenda, and the watch calculated how long it would take you to get to the place where you had the meeting based on your history, based on the floor that you had to get to, based on how dense the traffic was at that point. And this was created by Berkeley University, but in Barcelona they proved how it worked for you to get to one place to another, and how much time it would take for you to get there. It did tell you, okay, you need to leave now so you can get there in time for your meeting. Well, this is very important in the US. In Spain, maybe good timing is not so highly valued, but this was created by this team of young people who had that user experience, and they were the winners. But this can be applicable for many other things. You can also monitor people or do follow-up on people who have Alzheimer's disease. They can keep contact with a control center. Even women who are suffering violence, they can activate a control that would indeed have a camera, follow them and show what's around them, and emergency services could get to where they are thanks to location devices. And there's so many things that we can do in this field, and this needs to be linked up with something that hasn't yet been mentioned in this panel. It's a trend, and maybe it's not the most suitable topic for this panel, but we need to mention it. I need to put it on the table. Devices that enable us to communicate with other devices through Bluetooth, with information that is arising in any point of the city, and that can be transferred simply to your device, and you can quickly access that information, and you might be able to interact with that information. I think wearables are devices that will make our lives much easier. And I think they will facilitate tourism, but also daily life. They will improve our quality of life by offering all this information that is available. And of course, always observing privacy issues, respecting security issues, and so on, which are very important aspects from the ethical point of view. Along those lines, I wanted to bring up a topic. How do you think, Fernando, you can improve users' life quality from that standpoint? You were talking about affordability, and you were talking about that from the economic point of view, but how can you improve the life quality of people with your device? I don't know, through introducing geolocation and other features. I wanted to ask you about the improvement of life quality of people with disabilities. We are constantly developing new applications and new complements for our platforms. One of the working lines that are open have to do with smart cities. Being able to get to more information that can help you get to a location or to find the ideal route to get there. That's an ideal channel so that we can convey this information to users. Also, we are trying to work the people that need this set of services. I mean, if we can identify a set of people that have specific needs, we will be able to provide for them that type of information, as you said. It wouldn't really be geolocalization, as you said. It would be georeferencing. In a way, I would locate those people through their device, and I can deliver messages that are aligned with their specific needs. That's what we're working on. We want to create an open channel so that third-party people can inform any kind of audience, even if you have disabilities or economic requirements or others. Well, we're about to ask the last question for Jose Angel. It's already 2:20, and I think we should break for lunch in a minute. So you're leaders in accessibility, possibly worldwide. Is this really profitable? Is it expensive to work so much on accessibility? I mean, what would you say to a company like yours? Would you advise them to also get into this business? This is my personal opinion. I think it's a matter of values, ethics, morale, and commitment with the society that we are all living in. It's easier for us to do because this really permeates through our DNA. This surrounds us. it's a constant environment that we live in. We collaborate, we make a commitment, we facilitate this, and it's in our spirit. And we must recognize it because it is perhaps easier for us than it is for the rest of society that is not really so aware of this. But it depends on everyone's education, on everyone's values, what they were taught at home. And you could be taught about this by your parents even. So it needs to be a key discourse. It's not really a media discourse. Now everybody wants to help. Everybody is willing to help, but you also need to help at home. And I'm very critical about this. Given the recognition that we have worldwide, given the brands that we have worldwide, we should be more involved because we are perhaps not too involved. So we are in a position to spearhead something that the whole sector should take on. And this doesn't have to do with return on investment. When you want something, when you feel that you're engaged with something, when you have it in your hand, in your heart, when it's something that's satisfying for you, when you know that it's going to be beneficial with something, and you enter that type of ethical discourse, then economic profit should follow. So I think this type of discourse that we have and that we will spearhead and carry further, and we have already set up special employment centers that are led by people with disability, and they compete with the greatest brands, and they're managed in a perfect manner, and they develop the same type of skills, and they're just as nice, and it's comprehensive. For us, it's not just an internal issue. It's something that needs to be pushed forward so that it can be replicated, so that it can be taken on and brought closer to all companies, because it adds value, and in a way you can therefore guarantee and prove in any forum that what you do makes sense. And when we address our people, when we talk about what we do, how we do it, what are the tools, what means of distributions we have, the most important thing to mention is that you're doing something that makes sense, that benefits society, that's good for your people, good for the people who share their experiences with you, and that improves everyone's quality of life. And of course, personally, I can say that there needs to be training and resources and many things devoted to this, but this should follow. I think the sector needs to be involved in these forums, in this fora. They need to be involved, they need to be part of this, and they need to be maybe sometimes cornered up because they need to be aware of the number of customers that our prospect customers in this country and many other places. And we must also bear in mind, apart from this, the business results, because recently we just edited a manual with the WTO, and it's a good practice manual, and $30 million is the amount that they have in the tourism industry, the accessible tourism industry in US. So it's an interesting sector. Don't you think it's something that we should work on? So we can break now for lunch. Thank you very much.